This is Intermission, December 23rd, 2020. It's Christmas Eve. I'm your host, Calvin Cassidy, and welcome to my home in Carl Junction, Missouri. What will Christmas 2020 look like? I wouldn't even want to guess. Instead, I want to share with you some of my personal memories of Christmas from my past. 69 years of memories in 15 minutes. I don't think that's going to work out very well, but I have selected several things that Christmas means to me through the past few years. My first account occurred in 1984, and while most people choose happy times, this memory is more sobering. During Christmas Eve dinner, we received a phone call. Vicky's grandfather, who had been battling cancer, passed away earlier that day. Having planned to go out and look at Christmas lights with another couple and their children, we decided to wait until after we returned home to discuss Granddad Raymond's passing. He was a favorite with the girls, and this was their first experience with death, and we really didn't know what we were going to do. While on our light tour, the oldest of the children in the car began a discussion and began to cast doubt on the reality of Santa Claus. And he had the younger children in a panic. And while traveling between houses, we saw a Santa Claus. A Santa Claus with his bag of toys exiting a house between houses on our tour. That ended the Santa discussion, but more importantly, it provided a tension reliever for my wife and I, and when we returned home, we calmly discussed the passing of Granddad, and we learned our first lesson of the resiliency of children. It was sad, but I thank God for that happy diversion. My most memorable Christmas, however, memory was another sobering type experience, and it was the Christmas Eve of my father's last Christmas. His health had entered into a downhill spiral, and this left me in a fog of pain and hurt. While he had survived a close call nights earlier, I knew his days were numbered. It was quiet throughout the day. Hospitals are very slow and very quiet during the holidays. I prayed over my father, and to break the silence of the moment, I began to play Christmas carols on my phone. During most of the day, his eyes remained closed, but I began to notice his hand patting to the music. Those moments we had that day were the closest father-son time that I would ever experience. Now, let's talk about Christmas trees. Our first Christmas tree after we were married was what you might call a Charlie Brown Christmas tree. Vicky and I were married at Christmas time, and did I mention we had a cat? Not only was our tree losing all of its needles, we also had to nail it to the floor of our rental house to keep the cat from knocking it over. After that first Christmas, our trees were a symbol of joy, the joy of the season, and memories of the past. It represented family and the activities and places we had enjoyed together. However, in 2014, with the passing of my dad, and in 2015, the passing of Vicky's dad, the memories of the tree turned from joy to sadness and pain. This Christmas, 5 years later, the tree returned, and while the memories of the good times are back, the pain and sadness of our loss remains in the shadows. It's true what they say about the glue of the family. When it's gone, it's hard to keep it together. Our daughters are now sharing holiday responsibilities. Another thing that brings me joy during the Christmas season is the Christmas music and, in my past, the planning of Christmas programs. While teaching, I directed 21 different programs. The one thing they had in common was the true reason for the season. There was always a message, lessons taught, lessons learned, all presented in a public venue. I wrote and delivered my first program while I was in my first year of teaching and just days before our wedding. It was called An Archie Bunker Christmas. In addition to programs, I enjoyed sharing the children's music at nursing homes and with the community, and enjoyed neighborhood caroling, weather permitting. Teaching service to others was a major part of a Christmas choir. As a family, my wife and I have always enjoyed decorating our yard for the Christmas season. It is our way of sharing the joy and meaning of Christmas with our neighbors and the community. Rather than just putting things out randomly, we choose to create different sections and hopefully allowing a story in the process. Our display will be lit, weather permitting, through the 12 days of Christmas and will go dark on Epiphany. You can see more about this year's display on my Facebook page, Calvin Cassidy. This commitment to music and the Christmas story spilled over into church, and as the director of Christian education, I would oversee many Christmas pageants. On one occasion, our church school kids participated in a live nativity in the church courtyard. All of this involvement in music and storytelling has always been part of my holiday menu. As I grow older, it's not easy to let the younger generation take over. I really miss those programs. Christmas Eve services at church have always been memorable. While our kids were younger, we would attend a family service. The service was held at 5:30 p.m. and would involve the children and allow families to get home at an earlier hour. But midnight mass is the centerpiece of Christmas. The special music, the lighting of the candles symbolizing the light of the world, fellowship, and the first communion of Christmas. That's what Christmas is all about. Now, taking a look at nature, if you happen to be out during the holidays, you might notice that the beavers are still feeding on saplings that they can find. If you look at your soot feeders, you will probably see a variety of woodpeckers, and the squirrels are gathering in their nest to conserve energy. That's good because usually they're gathering at my bird feeder and eating my bird feed. But come to think of it, I haven't seen quite as many, and it's starting to turn really cold outside. For special days, Christmas pretty much takes the lead. Tomorrow, the 24th, is Christmas Eve. The 25th is Christmas Day. And then we'll be working each day closer to a new year. But today is Christmas Eve Eve. But most importantly, today is our anniversary. Vicki and I have been married 48 years. It was a cold winter week. We had snow, we had ice, we had power outages, but on the 23rd of December, the power returned, the roads were cleared, and the church was beautiful. On December 23rd, 1972, God gave me my greatest earthly gift when He blessed my marriage to Vicki Jo Wilson. Vicki came into my life at its darkest point. She was my support when my future was uncertain. She awaits for me if I lag behind, and is there to catch me if I should fall. My life has been so enriched by our relationship. I believe that we were truly made for each other. We shared our interest in children and education, and since we have raised 2 daughters who are both educators, and our life has also been blessed with 4 grandboys. We look forward to many future adventures and many future years together. You can go to my Facebook page, Calvin Cassidy, to see our wedding picture. You can also find information on this year's yard display. I hope you all got to see the Christmas star, and I hope it brings with it hope, peace, and love for the future. Merry Christmas, and I hope you will check out next week's program, The Best of Intermission's inaugural year. Intermission is over for tonight. It's time to get on with your show.